I love cannelloni. There's so many different varieties you can do. I'm going to be using these instant cannelloni shells. They're fantastic because they cook so quickly. And we all know ricotta and spinach cannelloni, but have you tried a crab cannelloni with loads of dill and leek? It is a standout dish. So let's get the sauce on first. Into a pan, I need some extra virgin olive oil, a little glug, along with some butter. So I'll need butter not only to cook up our leeks, but also for a bechamel. You have to have a creamy bechamel with this. So we'll start with 40 grams of butter into our fry pan, and 60 grams can go into a pot for our bechamel later on. So we'll just get that ready to go. And for the leeks, you'll need 2 leeks for this recipe. I've just cut off the dark bits, save that for a stock, and give them a really good wash. And you can do that just by cutting across into them, and then just under a running cold tap, just give them a good wash because they do hold a lot of dirt. So finely chop our leeks. Leeks go so well with lots of different seafood because they're really mild in flavour. Now it looks like a lot, but I promise you it does cook down significantly. So this can go into our olive oil and butter mixture. And to this I'll add some spring onions. We want about 6 spring onions that I've finely cut into rounds. And just to make sure that they sweat and cook evenly, bring out the moisture by adding a good pinch of salt. We're also wanting to season it too. Some garlic, so some finely chopped garlic. And we'll give that a toss and coat everything in the butter. Love the smell of leeks. Okay, while that's cooking gently, just on a medium heat, let's get on to the bechamel. So that butter has melted down. I'll just turn the heat back onto that. We'll add some flour. So we need to make a roux. So into that is the flour. And we want to cook the flour with the butter. You don't want to be adding the milk straight away. So we just want to cook that for about 30 seconds to cook off the rawness. And you'll see this roux start to form. So the flour essentially starts to absorb all of that butter, and then we can add the milk. Now, the milk has been infused with saffron. I love that subtle floral flavour of saffron. So just like any white sauce, bechamel, we want to add the milk little by little. So we add a small amount, give that a mix, and at this stage you can transfer from that wooden spoon to a whisk and then add a bit more, and we change over to a whisk so we don't get any lumps. So I'm going to continue adding this milk until it's completely absorbed. It's going to come up to the boil. I'm going to keep whisking it until it's thick and glossy. Look at this glossy bechamel. That is ready to go. So we can turn the heat off and let it sit there for a moment while we continue on with the leeks. Now you can see how they've softened nicely, not too much colour. To this I will add some lemon zest. Loads of lemon zest, and you want to leave this to the last minute. If you add this at the beginning, well, we won't taste that lemon zest throughout our cannelloni. So that is plenty, along with some dill, another classic flavour with all types of seafood, including our crab. And I'll just run my knife through this one more time and into our mixture. And for the crab, now this is pre-cooked blue swimmer crab. You need a good amount of it. I have turned the heat off now. It doesn't need to be cooked. Don't forget this is going into the oven, so it's going to cook again. So we'll just use a spoon to break this up and coat everything. Oh, the smell of that, just divine. A few more ingredients. So some breadcrumbs, fresh breadcrumbs. This is going to absorb any of the moisture in the mixture, along with some ricotta. I'm using some buffalo ricotta. We want about 150 grams of ricotta, and we'll just add that. That's about half of this tub. This is going to give it a lovely, creamy, fluffy finish. And some eggs. So you'll need 2 eggs for this recipe. I'm just going to break them straight into the bowl, and we'll just use a fork just to break them up. Okay, in that goes. And you can notice that I've added the eggs just at the last minute because I don't want them to cook too much. We want to mix it with everything else. Finally, some parmesan. So a sprinkle of parmesan can go in, not too much. and we'll give that a really good mix. And I just want to cool this down for about 5 to 10 minutes. We don't want it to be too hot. Then I'm going to place it in a piping bag and we're ready to fill our gorgeous little cannelloni. Okay, so we've filled that piping bag with our gorgeous crab meat, just twist it at the top, and we are ready to pipe. But first, we do need to add half of this bechamel to the base of a baking dish. So we'll just add a few spoonfuls and spread that out. You never want to be adding cannelloni shells to a dry baking dish. We want sauce to be on the bottom and the top. So spread that all the way to the edges, and that's looking good. Grab a cannelloni and we'll just fill that up. So it's got quite a lot of the crab meat in it. That's looking good. And then we place it into our baking dish. So I'm going to continue making these. So we want them side by side. Make sure they're not overlapping. We're going to top it with some extra bechamel and a little bit of that crumb, and then it goes into the oven. 180 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes or until the cannelloni are tender. I wish you were here right now to smell this because it smells amazing. And just like any pasta bake that you're going to make, you need to let it rest. So let it come out of the oven and let it sit for at least 20 minutes. It will stay warm because that's piping hot. You just don't want it to be too runny. And I'm going to take a little portion out because I've got to try this. So we'll just scoop that out and just have a look at that. Perfectly creamy, still warm. I'll grab a fork and I want to show you the filling side just here. See all that crab meat? That's what it's all about, and that perfectly cooked cannelloni. That is a standout cannelloni dish. This is a dish I really want you to try at home. Enjoy it.